Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Trump administration is looking to hire thousands of federal law enforcement personnel as part of expanded immigration enforcement efforts. But the courts handling these cases aren't seeing the same surge in resources. Several immigration judges recently fired by the Justice Department say the court system is losing staff and it's unable to address a multi-million case backlog. Federal News Network's Jory Heckman is here with more details. Jory, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Terry. Great to be here.
Give us a background on what the Trump administration has done to staff up immigration enforcement this year.
Yeah, so one of the big signature pieces of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that we saw this summer is that it gives the Department of Homeland Security a lot of money, billions of dollars, to beef up immigration enforcement. That translates into about 10,000 new immigration and customs enforcement agents, as well as 5,000 customs officers and 3,000 Border Patrol agents, a real surge in the personnel handling this work.
The immigration courts couldn't keep up with the workload they had before that surge in enforcement. So has the administration done anything to help immigration judges keep up now?
So that same piece of legislation, it gives a much more modest plus up to immigration judges. They would get about 100% new immigration judges under that legislation, as opposed to a couple of thousand for everyone else. That would bring their total head count to about 800 immigration judges nationwide. But what we've heard from some of the unions representing those immigration judges, the International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers and its affiliate, the National Association of Immigration Judges, they say, despite those added resources in the bill, the number of immigration judges has actually been dwindling. It started about 700 at the beginning of this year. It's closer to 600 now. And that is a product of the Trump administration firing about 80 immigration judges since the start of this administration, and others have retired or accepted voluntary separation incentives.
Folks with that background don't just grow on trees. They're not on every street corner waiting to become an immigration judge. What are the former judges saying about how the courts and the system is working?
So we heard from a number of these former immigration judges at an event at the National Press Club last week. One of them, Ted Doolittle, he was up until recently an immigration judge at the court in Hartford, Connecticut. At the time, just before he was terminated, he was one of two judges handling a caseload of about 46,000 cases. The day that he got his termination email, it was unexpected. It came at around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and he was preparing for the next day's docket, where he was going to hear from 57 defendants. Those are, of course, cases that got reassigned to other judges because he no longer had a job. Doolittle said that for the immigration courts to meaningfully address this backlog that they're looking at, they would need about 2,000 to 3,000 immigration judges, not a couple hundred.
So the caseload is crushing. I think it's probably one of the most overburdened court systems, state, municipal, or federal, in the United States.
And that is Ted Doolittle. He's a former immigration judge.
Jory, what impact has the short staffing had on the processing of these cases? If one judge was handling 46,000 cases, must be a pretty long wait.
Yeah, I mean, this is a case where these former judges say that justice delayed is justice denied. They are collectively looking at a backlog of about 3.4 million cases that still need to be processed through these courts. The staffing is not there to get these dockets handled quickly, and that this is a really complex system. One other former immigration judge said that this is a docket where they can be juggling 5 different languages, where they need to get interpreter services aligned, make sure that there is someone there that can adequately represent these defendants, can make sure that they understand the charges that they're facing and the consequences that they're facing. And when you have immigration judges be fired in some cases, that just shifts more of the burden on judges who are overwhelmed, they are understaffed, and they are having a harder time to process all of the cases before them. To further complicate things, they are concerned that there's an uptick in no-shows for court dates because defendants are afraid to show up for fear that they may be detained by ICE agents afterwards. That is something that immigration judges say has been a pretty commonplace function so far this year.
Well, certainly the immigration process is a high priority for the Trump administration. These cases are high stakes, high profile. What's their strategy to bring in more immigration judges to handle the backlog?
One of the stopgap solutions they're taking here is that the Justice Department is allowing hundreds of military lawyers to temporarily serve as immigration judges. We did hear from Matt Biggs, who represents the IFPTE. He's their president, and he says that no disrespect to those JAG officers, but they don't have the background in immigration law, and you need that to really understand these complex cases and actually be able to address this backlog.
Just to be qualified to even apply for the job, immigration judges had to have 7 years of experience in administrative or immigration law. And now we're replacing, with all due respect to the JAG lawyers, we appreciate their service to our nation. No disrespect to them, but they should not be in these positions.
So that training strategy has got to take some time to even get these folks up to speed to be able to function. Do we have an estimate on the timeline?
No timeline really at this point. One other thing immigration judges brought up is that the senior immigration judges, they typically served in a mentorship role for the younger immigration judges, and a lot of them have left. A lot of them took those voluntary separation incentives, and so the ability for the new judges to train up, to understand, to learn the ropes, so to speak, learn on the job to some extent, that function is no longer around for them. So even if there's the possibility of more judges being brought on board, their productivity, their ability to meaningfully chip away this backlog, that's going to be reduced, according to some of the concerns as expressed by some of these former immigration judges.
Jory, did they give you a look at the future? Where do they expect this transition to wind up?
The future is really uncertain for a lot of these former judges. They understand that there's an uptick in the caseload here, that the enforcement side of the operations are full steam ahead, that there are more cases going through this system than there has in the past, but that there's just very few resources going into the processing of these cases, that judges just really feel understaffed, outgunned by the caseload before them. It seems like a very uncertain future for them.
That's Federal News Network's Jory Heckman. Jory, thanks for bringing us this story.
Thanks, Terry.
You can find the full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.